Good afternoon, everybody, and how are you doing? Welcome once again to another edition of The Way of the Desert with me, your host, Miguel Angel Ruiz Jr., on the very cool station called the co-creatornetwork.com. Today is Wednesday, June 12th, 2013, and it's a beautiful day. I'm talking straight from my hometown of San Diego, California today. So last night I gave a presentation in Tijuana, which is my other hometown. And it was a wonderful, special day for me because I get to go back where I went to school in Tijuana, el Mentor Mexicano, and el Bachillerato Internacional at the Lázaro Cárdenas. That's a big name for the name of the high school I went to. And I got to see some of my family, some old friends, high school friends that I hadn't seen in 20 years. It was wonderful to see them. But it was that, to me, of course, was the highlight, and then presenting in front of them. And, you know, for the very first time I presented the 5 levels of attachment in Spanish, los 5 niveles del apego. And it was a wonderful night for me, very special. But it's exciting. So, yeah, I'm still feeling the glow from that event last night, and yay. So before we start, bulletin board, what's up with my family? My dad and Jose, Don Miguel Ruiz and Don Jose, are in Europe as we speak, and they will be speaking this weekend in Brussels, in Belgium, at the Centre Culturel de Vola Saint Pierre. Okay, I'm not sure. I think I just butchered the name, but it's in June 14th and the 15th. They're there, and then on June 23rd they'll be in Zurich, Switzerland, and then in Maisonnette, France, and then I think they're also going to be in South Africa. I think I'm not sure about that event yet, and then I personally am going to be at the Unity of Boulder in Boulder, Colorado on June 23rd. That's a week from this Sunday. I'm going to be in Colorado as I continue my little tour for promoting the 5 levels of attachment. And then right now I'm actually working on a small project called Living Life of Awarenesses, which is this little book that will be released later on this year. And my deadline to finish that book is July 31st, which means I'll go back to full throttle touring again in August. But before I do that, I'm actually going to be in Austin, Texas, and San Antonio in July, on July 19th and the 20th through the 21st. Sorry, July 19th at the San Antonio Unity of San Antonio, and then July 21st I'll be in Austin, Texas at the Toltec Center for Creative Intent. All right, anyways, for more events with the family, please check the website, miguelruiz.com and miguelruizjr.com. Also, for me and my brothers and my dad will be in Teotihuacan in August, giving a power journey in English and in Spanish. All right, that's it. Enough. I've spent enough time talking about what we're doing in the commercials. Like I said before, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter on our accounts, Don Miguel Ruiz, Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., and MiguelRuiz.com and MiguelRuizJr.com. All right, that's it. Today's show is actually not taking things personal and the family. My dad always said that this particular agreement was always the toughest when it had to do with the people we love the most, our family. With strangers, it becomes easy. It's almost the first line of where we begin to master this agreement. But it's within the family that's the difficult part, mostly because we love them and their word means a lot to us, both in a positive and negative way. So to tackle this, I have to start from the outskirts. Actually, mostly I have to explain to you how I have learned to use the whole concept of not taking things personal. Like you might have heard on previous shows, or written somewhere, read somewhere. If you want to learn how to not take things personal, it requires practice. First, it requires that ability to recognize in ourselves that we do take things personal. We can't change the world pretending to be something we are not, is something I love to say. And accepting who we are for what we are at this very moment in time is the most important aspect of unconditional love. This is who I am. And part of me does take things personal. I'm the first to admit it, and I accept it as a truth about me. Because even though I've practiced for many years, there are still moments when I get caught up with it. That's because with practice, I've gotten a lot better with it. The difference is how to use the agreement. Of course, you might have heard me talk about the 4 conditions, where we grab the 4 agreements and we turn into the 4 conditions of our spiritual freedom or personal freedom. Whereas I'll use the model of domestication, by which in order to accept myself, I have to live up to the 4 agreements, which means if I do it right, I'll get the praise. If I do it wrong, well, I'll judge myself. I'll judge myself for taking it personal. How, what, and what kind of dumb or what kind of ever self-judgment we can make that we can use in ourselves. At this point, that kind of change is basically replacing one program for another, and conditional love still reigns in our life. But if we use the 4 agreements as an instrument, it requires first the ability to accept the truth that we do take things personal and to love ourselves for it. Now, once we love ourselves unconditionally, then the motivator to change comes from I want to, not because I have to. So if I want to stop not taking things personal, or I want to begin not to take things personal, actually, it starts with recognizing what triggers me to take things personal. What is it? Is it a Facebook comment? Is it someone says, or is it something that I recognize the pattern? I become aware of my truth and what triggers me. Once I become aware of that trigger, I can recognize when that moment is coming. And when that moment is here, in that present moment, I have a choice. If I say yes to taking things personal, it's because I want to take it personal. But if I don't want to, then it's a matter of choice, because my yes is that powerful, just as my no. So for me to say, no, I don't want to take it personal is an action, because I'm fully able of loving myself for who I am, taking things personal or not. So now it becomes a choice. I want to, as opposed to I have to. I want to not take things personal. So in that moment where my trigger is about to happen, and it happens, I can make the choice of not taking things personal, which for me simply means I do not carry the weight of someone else's choice for me. I am my own individual, and they are their own individual. And I am only responsible for me. So their actions are simply their actions. And I will not carry the weight and the burden of their judgment, of their negativity, of their own intent on my shoulders. So I won't take it personal, because I recognize that whatever choice they're making they're making it for their own point of view. I make it for my own. So to me, that's not taking things personal. So I won't carry the burden. I won't carry the weight. I won't carry the poison that someone else wants me to take simply because it's within their point of view to give it to me. I'm sorry, I won't take it. I won't take it personal. I respect you as the individual, just as much as I respect myself as the individual. Your actions are your actions. If I choose to carry the weight of it, then I will. If I choose to allow it to impact me, then I will. If I want it to cause me harm, then I will. But if I don't, then I won't take it personally. You may want to cause harm to me. I won't give you permission. You want me to carry your poison? I won't carry it. It doesn't mean I don't love you. It just simply means that I respect who I am. And I respect that you and I both see life in our own unique way. I'm fully accountable for my own choice. To me, that is not taking things personal. And from there, respect. Respect for their creation, respect for them. Because you can say, yeah, well, if they're not showing you respect, yeah, but I'm showing myself respect. That's it. I'm showing respect for myself. And I'll show respect for them. Even if they're not showing respect for me, I'll still show respect. Why? Because I want to give respect. Plain and simple. To me, as easy as I can say that, and I say it because it took me a long time to practice it and learn to it and chew it and process it, and I'm able to share with it. It's a process that begins with the outer fringes, the people that we can say the relationships we have that are not as tightly bonded as the people we love in our, we can say the inner circle of our relationships, but let's just be frank, the people we consider family, the people we love, the people whose bond means so much to us that our heart beats a little faster because they're here in the house, and the hug is just as warm. So the strangers, the people we meet, understand that they see life in their own unique way. They see life however they want to see it. And because of that, they might be able to see me, but most often than not, they're usually projecting an image onto me. An image that's real or not real, or based on a somewhat of a truth or a total distortion. But regardless of which, it doesn't say anything about who I am. Because they only see what they want to see. Which is fine. And practice not taking things personal on that line is easy. Because, one, we're not emotionally involved. But two, it's easy to recognize that whatever image they have of us is completely projected, especially since they don't know us. So as we become masters of that, or you can say we've become really good at the practice of that, we can begin working our way in. Like my dad said, the toughest people to practice not taking things personal are the people you love the most. Our fathers, our mothers, our grandmothers, our brothers, our sisters, our husbands and wives, our children, our best friends. It matters because their word means something to us. They already are a part of our emotional body. They're already a part of our heart. And their word means something. Yesterday, I got to see some of my uncles and my aunts, some old friends, and it reminded me of all of those moments when I was young, when I used to be judged for who I was. And nowadays, I no longer have those filters, but I remember those days. And I remember feeling sad, even angry at some of the projections people had of us. I have a big family. But that is not, but I'm not the only one who ever suffered. I think everyone in life has dealt with someone in their life that, they might have a disagreement with an uncle or an aunt who totally disagrees with your style or your way of living or example who you are. And my dad always taught me to show respect. And I did. Even if they gave me a hard time, I still give them a kiss in the cheek, to kiss them on the cheek, to say hello and goodbye because they're my uncle and I love them. And that was my sign of respect. Sometimes that helped, sometimes that didn't. So as we practice not taking things personal, and I believe every single one of us slowly go into our family, first the cousins and the outer rim family. You could say it's about remembering again the same thing we learned with perfect strangers or the people that we casually know. They only want to see what they want to see. Miguelito, the way they see me, or Miguel back in high school, or even my ex-girlfriends, how they see me, well, that individual no longer exists. But even the person they thought they knew never really existed anyways. You see, we develop an image of an individual, a mask that we call an identity, and we project it onto an individual. And that's how we begin to domesticate the people around us. We domesticate them to fit the image we want them to be, just like the way we do. In our own lives, we create an image of what I'm supposed to be based on that domestication, on conditional love. I judge myself for being something on the image of something I am not. I create an image of something, of someone, and I try to model myself to that. So every judgment, every self-doubt is a punishment for not living up to that image. If we're doing that to ourselves based on conditional love, then of course the people around us are doing the same thing. They love us, so they want us to live up to their expectation. So they'll domesticate us to that point of view. To them, that's love, which is fine. That's where compassion comes in. This is the way they know how to love. Because they're doing to you what they do to themselves. That's the thing about domestication. The way we domesticate other people is the way we domesticate ourselves. If we can understand that concept, well, it's easy not to take it personal. This is the way they know how to love. Compassion is simply knowing that this is the best they've got at the moment, of course. Which is easy to forgive, especially when their judgments have hit its target, or their poison have hit their target. And recognizing that they hit their target because we gave permission to that poison, to that judgment, to hit that target. We gave those words permission. So we forgive ourselves for letting those words affect us that much. We can learn from it if we want, if there's any value to it. But if there isn't, we let it go. We let it go. It's as simple as that. And to me, it's a beautiful moment to remember how to practice not taking things personal. That it's a choice. It's an instrument that allows me not to carry the weight of someone else's choice. or not to carry the weight of their conditional love. Because I love myself unconditionally. I'm learning how to love myself unconditionally. And I'm saying that because it also requires practice, especially when we've been so used to loving ourselves conditionally. It requires practice, which simply means remembering that we are worthy of our own love. With that, we can slowly go into the next layer of our family. Our brothers, our sisters, our husbands and wives, our fathers, our mothers, our daughters, our sons and our grandparents, and our closest friend, our girlfriend, boyfriend, the people we love. It's really hard because we think that they know us so well, and they do. They know us more than other people because we let them in. But even still, they still have a projection. Just the way I have a projection, or I had a projection of my family. I grew up with a projection of my mom. I grew up with a projection of my dad. Even my dad has to deal with it. I was talking to one of my aunts and uncles years ago, and him and my uncle and my aunt were talking to me and my wife, and we're talking about relationships. And my uncle says, there's a good book about relationship. It's called The Four Agreements. Read it. It's great. Don't listen to your dad, but read the book. Of course, my uncle and my aunt still saw my dad for the young man he was, and that image of them, of him, still lingers in their minds. He's still his little brother. Sometimes the projections that people have of us are very strong, that they don't let us see who we really are. Sometimes people have that image of us. They claim to know us so well, but what they know is an image of or a part of who we are. Remembering that allows me also to remember that in the most difficult of time, especially when it's someone I love. I love them and they love me. But we're both only seeing what we want to see. Sometimes we can see clearly and we can see each other as who we are. And sometimes it might take a shock. I didn't know you at all. Oh, wow, I didn't realize. Wow, you really have grown. It's something that's remarkable. That happens all the time. And once again, we practice the same thing we did in the outer fringes. The compassion that allows us to see that even the people we love the most still have that projected image of us. And they take action based on that image. Sometimes that image is very close to the truth of who I am. But who I am is continuously evolving. I'm continuously changing as an individual. For as long as I live life, life is always teaching me. Life is always sharing something with me. Life is always moving forward, and I am moving forward with it. 3-4 months ago, I was completely out of shape, hurting my back, and I was barely able to run a mile. I'm training for an event called Tough Mudder, and I'm up to being able to run 8 miles. I've changed. Now I totally can know that whatever kept me in the couch saying I can't run was a complete lie. A lie that I already knew because I was able to run before. It's cyclical. I remember, I forget, I remember, I forget, I remember. And each cycle lasts longer. Will I forget again? Of course I will. There's always something that derails my training or remembers that I can do it. It could be either a deadline, like writing a book, or could be a World Cup month. It could be a problem within the family, or just simply a lot of stress from work, or a night of partying that takes a long time to recover, or an injury. Regardless of what it is, remembering that we can do it is always a challenge and a practice that strengthens like a muscle each time we do it. So sometimes I remember taking things personally, not taking things personally, and sometimes I forget. Then I remember, oh yeah, I want to not take it personal. I'll start again. Then I'll forget. Then I remember and I forget, and then the cycle expands and grows bigger and bigger. And that's how we develop a mastery. The mastery is expanding the time that I remember my choice and my will, and I express it, and I take action based on it. That's what allows me to be a master of what I do, which I think every single human being is a master of what they do. Good, bad, right, or wrong, we are all masters. We're all masters of our own story. So, learning how not to take family personally requires an ability to have compassion. Compassion for the people around us. Compassion for ourselves, because I am doing it just as much as they're doing. I can project an image of myself, and I can project an image of them just as much as they can project an image of me. But remembering to let go of that image and being able to see them for who they are, giving them the opportunity to see. You never know, they might surprise you. And the ability to forgive. Compassion and forgiveness gives strength to this particular agreement that my dad wrote about in his famous book, The Four Agreements. I say this because I've been practicing it for years. And even then, I've finally understood it and put it into words that I can understand. Compassion and forgiveness, with the motivator being unconditional love. I want to. I have run out of time today. I'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel on the CoCreatorNetwork.com at 12 noon, 2 Pacific every Wednesday. You can tune in to the podcast on iTunes, always free, as well as the archive on the CoCreatorNetwork.com website. Up next is Heather Ash Amara with Tosi Radio. From me for now, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. All my love. Have fun.